Long before garden centers existed, farmers fed the soil with what the land already gave them. Some of these methods date back thousands of years. Others were nearly lost with the last generation that used them. But every single one of them works. On this episode of Stella Eureka, we're uncovering 10 natural fertilizers that deliver real, fast-acting results, drawn from kitchens, backyards, and agricultural traditions stretching back millennia. Stay with us, because one of these you've probably been throwing away every single morning. Number 1. Coffee grounds. Every morning, millions of Americans dump one of the most potent natural soil boosters straight into the trash. Spent coffee grounds are gritty, dark, and ready to work the moment they hit the soil. Worked into the earth, they break down over weeks, releasing a slow trickle of nitrogen that plant roots can absorb as microbes process the organic matter. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that can flood the soil in a single chemical rush, coffee grounds meter their release naturally, feeding plants steadily rather than all at once. They also attract earthworms, improve drainage in clay soils, and contribute small but meaningful amounts of potassium and phosphorus. The connection between coffee and soil goes back centuries. In parts of Ethiopia, where coffee cultivation first took hold over 1,000 years ago, farmers long noticed that plants near discarded coffee pulp grew more vigorously. By the early 20th century, American gardeners were formally recommending spent grounds as a soil amendment, and the practice has never fully gone away. What makes spent grounds useful beyond their nitrogen content is what they do to the soil itself. As they feed soil microbes, the microbial activity releases compounds that improve soil structure and drainage. They attract earthworms, which further aerate the ground, and their near-neutral pH makes them suitable for a wide range of garden plants. For home gardeners, the approach is straightforward. Mix a half-inch layer of spent grounds into the top few inches of soil before planting, or add them directly to a compost pile to boost its nitrogen content. Many coffee chains hand over spent grounds for free if you ask. Your soil will do the rest. Number 2. Wood ash. For most of human history, the remains of a fire were never considered waste. Wood ash is a pale, fine powder that feels almost weightless in the hand. Scattered across a garden bed and watered in, it dissolves rapidly, releasing potassium and calcium directly into the soil solution where roots can access them almost immediately. Few natural fertilizers act this fast, with measurable effects within days rather than weeks. For fruiting plants like tomatoes and squash, the potassium boost matters enormously during flowering and fruit set. Colonial American farmers spread wood ash across their fields each spring as a standard part of soil management, long before the science of nutrients was formally understood. The practice traces back much further. Ancient Roman agricultural texts mention ash as a soil treatment, and indigenous communities across North America used fire and ash to manage soil fertility for generations before European contact. Its high alkalinity makes ash valuable for correcting acidic soils, where nutrients are present but chemically locked away from roots. A light application can unlock fertility that was already there. That same alkalinity makes it the wrong choice for blueberries, rhododendrons, or any plant that needs acid conditions to thrive. For everything else, 10 to 20 pounds per 1,000 square feet, applied no more than once per season, and with a soil test to guide you, is the standard guideline. If you have a backyard fire pit or wood-burning stove, you already have a supply most gardeners would pay for. Hardwood ash from oak or maple runs higher in potassium than softwood ash from pine, so the type of wood matters. Store it dry. Ash left in the rain loses most of its potassium through leaching within a season. Number 3. Seaweed. There's a fertilizer so rich in plant hormones that it can increase flower and fruit yields by up to 50% in certain crops. And for centuries, it was simply washed up free on the beach. Seaweed, particularly kelp, has a dense mineral-laden structure that breaks down into a dark, briny liquid when processed. Applied as a foliar spray directly onto leaves, it absorbs through the plant's surface within hours. Worked dry into soil, it begins releasing nutrients within days of first contact with the moisture. Coastal farmers in Ireland and Scotland spread seaweed across their fields for over 2,000 years. In regions like County Clare, the right to harvest kelp from specific stretches of shoreline was written into land agreements, a measure of how seriously this material was valued. Along the coast of Maine, farmers hauled it inland by cart and worked it directly into fields well into the 20th century. What sets seaweed apart is its cytokinin content. Cytokinins are plant hormones that drive cell division, accelerating root development and helping plants recover from stress. Nitrogen and potassium feed existing growth. Cytokinins actively stimulate new growth, which is why seaweed-treated plants often look dramatically more vigorous, even when soil nutrient levels have not changed. For transplants in particular, watering with diluted liquid kelp extract at planting reduces transplant shock faster than almost any other single intervention. Liquid kelp extracts are widely available in garden centers, making this practical for inland gardeners too. For those near the ocean, fresh seaweed applied directly to garden beds works just as well. Rinse off excess salt first. Number 4. Compost tea. What if you could take the most nutrient-dense material in your garden and multiply its biological power tenfold in less than 24 hours? Compost tea is made by steeping finished compost in oxygenated water, typically with an aquarium air pump running continuously, for 24 to 48 hours. The result is a dark, earthy liquid teeming with billions of beneficial microorganisms per milliliter. Poured onto soil or sprayed onto leaves, it delivers nutrition and microbial life simultaneously, and roots can begin absorbing dissolved nutrients almost at once. 18th century European farmers steeped manure and plant waste in barrels of water and applied the resulting liquid to their fields, calling it liquid manure. The scientific understanding of why it worked came later, but the instinct was sound. By the mid-20th century, agricultural researchers in the United States were formally studying aerated compost tea as a means of suppressing plant disease, finding that its microbial populations could outcompete harmful pathogens in the soil. The aeration step is what makes it work. Oxygen encourages aerobic bacteria to multiply rapidly, producing a brew that can contain hundreds of millions of colony-forming units per teaspoon. These microbes help break down organic matter, compete against pathogens, and rebuild the biological activity that healthy roots depend on. A 5-gallon bucket, an inexpensive air pump, and a mesh bag of finished compost is all the setup required. Brew for 24 to 48 hours, apply immediately, and do not let it sit. Once the oxygen stops, the biology degrades quickly. Number 5. Banana peel. You may have been composting one of the most potassium-rich items in your kitchen without realizing you could skip the compost pile entirely and get faster results. A single banana peel contains a meaningful concentration of potassium, along with phosphorus and calcium. Soaked in water for 48 hours and applied as a liquid to the root zone, or chopped and buried shallowly near plant roots, banana peels begin releasing potassium within days. The soft, fibrous structure breaks down faster than tougher organic matter, meaning nutrients reach the soil before most kitchen scraps have even started to decompose. In Central America and parts of the Caribbean, where banana cultivation has been central to agriculture for centuries, farmers returned plant waste including peels and leaves directly to the soil surrounding their crops. What the plant took from the ground went back to it. Potassium is the nutrient most directly tied to fruit and flower quality. It regulates water movement within plant cells, strengthens cell walls against disease, and drives the biochemical reactions that produce sugars in ripening fruit. A deficiency often shows up first as browning leaf edges, but the damage to fruit quality can begin weeks before any visible symptom appears. For tomatoes, peppers, and roses in particular, a potassium boost from banana peels can make a visible difference in bloom quantity and fruit sweetness without a trip to the garden center. Soaking 2 or 3 peels in a quart of water for 48 hours, diluting the resulting liquid and applying it to the root zone is the simplest method. Some gardeners dry and grind peels to a fine powder for a more concentrated amendment. Multiple university extension services now recommend both approaches as legitimate supplemental potassium sources. Number 6. Worm castings. Charles Darwin spent the last years of his life studying earthworms and concluded they were more important to agriculture than any other creature on the planet. Modern soil science has not proven him wrong. Worm castings, the material earthworms excrete as they move through soil, are dense, dark, and faintly earthy. Unlike raw manure, castings have already been processed through the worm's digestive system, which neutralizes pathogens and transforms nutrients into plant-available forms. Roots absorb them almost immediately upon contact, and the growth hormones present in castings further accelerate uptake. Darwin's 1881 book on earthworms was a bestseller in its day, initially outselling On the Origin of Species. He calculated that earthworms in a single acre of English farmland could bring more than 10 tons of soil to the surface each year, fundamentally reshaping the ground and cycling nutrients through its layers. Ancient Egyptians reportedly considered earthworms sacred, with Cleopatra issuing legal protections for them and punishing farmers who disturbed earthworm populations in agricultural soil. What makes castings exceptional is their biological completeness. Beyond nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, they contain beneficial bacteria, enzymes, and fungal spores already distributed throughout. Their physical structure creates micropores in soil that improve drainage and water retention simultaneously. Because nutrients are already in plant-available ionic form, there's no waiting for decomposition to do its work. For container gardeners with limited soil volume, mixing a small amount of castings into potting mix at planting is one of the most effective single investments available. Vermicomposting, using worms to process kitchen and garden waste into castings, has grown substantially among urban gardeners. A small bin under a kitchen counter can produce a continuous supply year-round. Number 7. Diluted urine. It is one of the most nitrogen-rich substances the human body produces. It is free, immediately available, and almost no one has considered applying it to their garden. Human urine, diluted at roughly 1 part urine to 10 parts water, delivers a potent dose of nitrogen in a form that plants can absorb almost immediately. The urea it contains converts to ammonium in soil within hours, and roots begin accessing it before the day is out. The result is rapid, visible green growth, particularly in leafy vegetables and lawns, at zero cost. This is not a fringe idea. Agricultural communities across East Asia, India, and Sub-Saharan Africa applied diluted urine to crops for thousands of years. In 18th century England, human urine, referred to in agricultural texts as chamber lye, was considered a valuable commodity, with farmers paying for the contents of urban cesspools. Roman tradespeople collected public urine for industrial use. Indigenous communities across the Americas had their own established practices for returning waste nutrients to agricultural land. Fresh, healthy human urine is sterile at the point of excretion and presents minimal pathogen risk when applied to soil rather than directly to edible plant surfaces. Beyond nitrogen, it contains phosphorus and potassium in small but meaningful amounts. And at the correct dilution, it rivals many liquid commercial nitrogen products for speed and effectiveness. Apply to soil, keep it away from leaves and edible surfaces near the ground, and dilute properly to avoid nitrogen burn. Academic researchers at the University of Kuopio in Finland conducted greenhouse trials showing that urine-fertilized tomato plants produced equal fruit yields to those treated with conventional mineral fertilizers, and 4.2 times more fruit than unfertilized plants. A taste panel of 20 people found no detectable difference in flavor. The science is solid. Number 8. Eggshells. There's a natural calcium source so effective that applying it correctly can prevent the single most common cause of ruined tomatoes in American home gardens. Crushed eggshells are composed almost entirely of calcium carbonate, the same compound found in agricultural lime. Ground to a fine powder and worked into soil, they begin releasing calcium within days of watering. That calcium directly prevents blossom end rot, the condition that turns the base of tomatoes and peppers black and renders them inedible, by ensuring developing fruit has consistent access to the mineral it needs during cell formation. Before synthetic lime products were widely available, eggshells were a standard soil amendment in farm households across America. Rural families who kept laying hens collected shells throughout the year and worked them into kitchen garden beds each spring. The practice appeared in 19th century American agricultural guides, and shells were sometimes roasted and ground by hand to increase surface area and speed up soil release. Beyond calcium, crushed shells improve drainage in dense soils by creating small air pockets around roots. Scattered on the soil surface, their sharp edges are uncomfortable for slugs and cutworms to cross, adding a secondary role as pest deterrent. A single large eggshell contains approximately 2 grams of calcium carbonate, and a season's worth from a typical household can meaningfully supplement calcium across a small vegetable bed. The most effective approach is drying shells thoroughly, grinding them to a fine powder in a blender, and adding that powder directly to the planting hole before transplanting tomatoes or peppers. Several state extension services now formally recommend this as a low-cost calcium amendment. Number 9. Fish emulsion. The Pilgrims were taught to bury a fish beneath each corn plant they put in the ground. The harvests that followed may have saved the colony from starvation. Fish emulsion is a liquid fertilizer produced from the byproducts of fish processing: bones, scales, organs, and flesh. Rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and a range of micronutrients, it can deliver them in a form that breaks down quickly in soil. Applied as a soil drench, plants can access its nutrients within 24 to 48 hours. Applied as a foliar spray, absorption through leaves begins almost immediately. The Wampanoag people, and particularly a man named Squanto, taught the Plymouth settlers to plant corn by placing a small fish in each mound before covering it with seed. Whether every historical detail has been recorded precisely has been debated, but the underlying principle was sound and the results documented. Indigenous agricultural communities across the Americas had used fish as a soil amendment in various forms for generations before European contact. This was accumulated ecological knowledge, refined over centuries. What makes fish emulsion exceptional beyond its speed is its biological breadth. It contains amino acids that soil microbes consume directly, stimulating activity rather than simply supplying chemical nutrition. It also contributes compounds that add to the carbon content that microbial communities feed on. The smell is strong during application but dissipates within a day or two. For seedlings in their first weeks, the combination of fast-acting nitrogen and growth-stimulating amino acids accelerates development more than most early season inputs can. Bottled fish emulsion is one of the most widely sold organic fertilizers in the United States. Apply it at half strength on young seedlings, and the results will be visible within a week. Number 10. Grass clippings. Most Americans bag and discard over 10 billion pounds of grass clippings each year. Every pound is a free fertilizer that researchers say can replace a quarter of your annual nitrogen inputs entirely. Fresh grass clippings run roughly 4% nitrogen by weight, nearly as concentrated as many commercial granular fertilizers. Spread as a thin mulch layer over garden beds or left on the lawn after mowing, they begin to break down within days in warm weather, releasing nitrogen steadily into the soil without the burn risk that concentrated synthetics carry. They also retain moisture during hot months and suppress weed growth between rows in vegetable beds. Before synthetic nitrogen became widely available following the mid-20th century adoption of the Haber-Bosch process, American farmers routinely returned plant material to their fields to maintain fertility. Green manuring, tilling living plant material directly into the soil, was a standard technique taught in land-grant university programs for decades. Grass clippings are the domestic version of that same logic, available to anyone with a lawnmower. The one rule is thickness. Clippings are high in moisture when fresh, which accelerates decomposition but causes matting if applied too deep. A layer no deeper than half an inch allows air circulation and prevents the anaerobic conditions that slow breakdown and create unpleasant odors. Clippings from lawns treated with herbicides should be kept away from vegetable beds, as some compounds can persist through decomposition and affect garden plants. University research across multiple states has confirmed that grass cycling can reduce the need for supplemental nitrogen by up to 25% over a full growing season. Clippings from untreated lawns are fair game, and some gardeners collect from neighbors who would otherwise bag and discard them. These 10 fertilizers share one truth: the best inputs are often the ones already in your hands. Our ancestors built productive gardens and farms using exactly these materials, long before synthetic fertilizers existed, because they understood something we are only now discovering. The land does not need more chemistry. It needs more attention. Which of these 10 have you already been using? And which one surprised you most? Let us know in the comments below. This is Stellar Eureka, signing off.